Okay, so we're at the towards the end of the worksheet, so we'll finish it off with section 5 and section 6. So section 5, in this exercise, in this question, some of the bars in the following composition in 4/4 meter are incomplete. Fill them in by adding one or more notes of proper duration. You may use any combination of durations to complete each bar. So basically, you're taking a look at each measure, right? The bar lines are already given to you, and seeing what note's already there. So in this case, there's a half note, which of course lasts 2 beats in 4/4. So all I need to do is add 2 more beats, and you can use any combination here. I'm using 2 quarter notes, but you can also, of course, use a half note or 4 eighth notes. I mean, the sky's the limit. Just make sure that you are counting them up to be the equivalent of 4 quarter notes for the whole bar. Again, here I have 2 quarter notes. This is exactly the same as the previous one. Together, this is 2 beats. So all I can do 4 eighth notes, for example. Here I have a dotted quarter note. Remember that the dot lasts half of the value of the note that it's attached to. So in this case, of course, this is 1.5 beats. Okay, so let me complete this first half of the bar by adding another half a beat by adding an eighth note. Okay, and then I can just finish it with a half note, for example, so that would last 2 beats. In this one, there is already a half note. I placed it in the middle, so the idea is that something can go in front, something can go in back. But you know, if you didn't want to do that, technically you can also just add all of your notes on one side. But if you did want to put something in the front and the back, right? So this is already 2 beats, right? So all I need to do is add 1 beat in the front, and then perhaps another equivalent to a quarter note in the back here. So maybe I will do 16th notes, which together equals 1 beat. Okay. And the last one, I have a eighth note. Okay, so that's of course half of a beat, 0.5. Okay, so I can complete that beat by adding another 0.5, and perhaps I can add a dotted half note, which of course is equal to 3 beats. Finally, the bottom part here, the last thing I'd like you to do is rewrite the following rhythms by using dotted notes in place of tied notes. Okay. By the way, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. Good. I changed that. That's right. Good. The previous version of this, I had a mistake here, but I think this is now fixed. Take a look at this first bar. Okay. So rewrite the following rhythm by using dotted notes. So in place of the tied notes. So the first bunch of tied notes here, I have a quarter note tied to an eighth note. Okay, so remember that the dot represents half of the value that it's attached to. So in this case, the quarter note would be the dot. Sorry, the quarter note would be the note, and the eighth note would be the dot. Okay, so quarter note here, the eighth note is the dot because the dot is half of the value that it's attached to. So in this notation, the quarter note tied to an eighth note is exactly the same as this dotted quarter note. Okay, so I would rewrite it, rewrite the rest of it like this. Notice that this eighth note translates to this one. It's not beamed because now this eighth note's by itself. So we're writing it with a stem and a flag. Remember that the flag always goes to the right. Okay, no matter which direction the stem goes in. Okay. In this case, I have these 2 tied notes. Okay, the longer one is the half note. Okay, the shorter one, the quarter note, is half the value of the half note, so of course that can be represented by a dot. Okay, and then I just rewrite this quarter note here, and that's it. You'll notice that this is it lasts exactly the same amount of beats that I need for 4/4. The next bar, okay, I have next bar I have these 2 tied notes. Okay, so that's the eighth. Is the longer one. I will do that first, and then of course the 16th note is translated into a dot. I will rewrite the other ones. 16th note, 8th note, 8th note. You can also beam these together if you wanted to, for example. Okay, and then I have one more eighth note here. These two tied notes, okay, the quarter note is the longer one, okay, the eighth note lasts half the value of the quarter note, so of course the eighth note now becomes a dot. Finally, I have, just move the camera a little bit. Finally, I have this quarter note, okay, and then these two tight notes. The longer note value here is the half note. The quarter note here will become a dot because that is half the value of the note that's attached to, in this case, the half note. So half of the value of the half note is a quarter note. Okay? And that's an overview of how to complete this test prep worksheet. So I encourage you to follow along, review this, also use your notes, use the textbook, use the worksheets that we've used in class, also use the interactive exercises on Blackboard to help you drill the note naming on treble and bass clef. Okay, and yeah, so use this to your advantage.